Okay, and then now I gotta find your stuff again. Oh my gosh.
Minimal smells. That should be in the back door.
No, no, stop share.
Oh,
Minimize it. Minimize the minus sign.
as soon as my finger gets there.
Okay, and then your PowerPoint should be.
They're not there.
Oh, gosh, it did get close.
Yeah. Sorry, folks, I gotta redo the stop share.
Oh, you didn't have to stop sharing.
Yes, because I need to go find it. So let's go here. You can't minimize Zoom. Okay. There. What do we do?
Can I drive?
Yes, you can drive. I can feed my face.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so where do you keep it?
It's on the,
Trying to jump.
USB-D,
yeah,
this
and
one?
it says Roanoke Master Gardeners.
It's under presentation.
Yep.
Is it this
There it
one?
is. That's
Yeah.
it. And then set him up on the. Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can't see the shnikes. You should really have it like two separate screens. Oh, you do.
Where's the controller?
Oh, do you have the clicker? Clicker? Okay, we ready. Okay, everybody, can I have your attention, please? I'm sorry, we're starting a little bit late. My apologies. Okay, let's talk about Bob. Bob taught at Ferrum College for 41 years. He has his PhD in plant pathology from the University of Georgia with a BS and an MS in biology and mycology from the University of Central Florida. He's traveled extensively studying tropical fungi and with his late wife, Dr. Carolyn Thomas, until she passed in 2020, they traveled. They taught side by side at Ferrum College for all 41 years and taught courses together to Ferrum students in the Virgin Islands and Ireland. They also work together at Smith Mountain Lake on the water quality program now, which is in its 40th year. He
Wow.
teaches about fungi now and all three master naturalist program, including leading nature hikes for numerous groups. So everyone, please welcome Bob.
We'll have to fly this. I'm happy to be here. I've taught many master gardener programs over the years too. We used to get the Franklin County master gardeners would always come to the college, and I taught both the botany and the plant disease sections. And then they reported it one time, and then they started using it, and then finally they got rid of me, and so they were able to get somebody else to do it. But I studied fungi. I've worked with cryptogams, both fungi and algae for most of my career. My wife was an aquatic ecologist. So that's how we got into Smith Mountain Lake and the water quality project got started. And then when we started having invasive weeds, and then we would have algal blooms these last years, then, I got more involved in that part of it. And we hire 3 or 4 students every summer. So we have this whole group of students that have gone through our program, and many of which have gone on and do stuff like Kyle, that have worked with different groups. We visited Kyle when he was on his internship from Ferrum out in Montana, and we were traveling around the country. So we've done a lot of travel. I love sharing things. I don't know how long ago all of you took the plant pathology section or had somebody speak on it for the master gardeners. But at least for you all, unlike some people that I show this show to, you're used to seeing things that may have diseases. So I'll give you a little background, a little history of plant pathology. But we'll kind of zip through some things, but symptomatology and things that I've used. I'm sorry, I keep standing in your way. Maybe I'll say might be a little bit better. How's that? Can you see better there? So what I wanted to do is to go through and talk, because this time of year, things are starting to come out and people don't notice stuff right away. But as soon as you put things in your garden, as soon as you start seeing the leaves come out, then you start seeing symptomatology. So the idea of what you see and what's there are either a symptom of what's causing it or a sign, and we'll talk a little bit about that. The signs are the organism, and you can actually see it. Now, sometimes it has to be microscope. Other times it can be a hand lens. I use a hand lens a lot. Matter of fact, I have one, and I'm always having it available. And when I'm walking with the students and working with them, you know, a hand lens to glance at it to see if you see some kind of fruiting structure, something there. It's great for that, especially for me. You know, at my age, it's kind of nice to have a little extra addition to my glasses. Does anybody know what this is? It is cedar apple rust.
Oh,
And when you look at it, I get a lot of people that bring these without this, without looking at this during the year, and they bring it to me and think that it's a cedar tree fruit. And so you get this. So you get a lot of homeowners that will not realize what's there. Does anybody know what these are? These are called teleal horns. And this is the rust fungus. This is a rust fungus. And those teleal horns that you're looking at carry the spores.
oh,
And when you get to a seasonal time, and these things will just come out in gelatinous mass, and they produce a spore, I'll show in a second. But that spore, fungal spore, produces another spore, and that spore blows through the air. It's a very interesting life cycle. And I want to tell you right now, if you're a gardener, your best bet is to know the life cycle of your plant. Everybody's used to that. But you need to know the life cycle of what's causing the problem. Because there are many things, and this is a perfect example. So I want to stick it up here first. This can have up to 5 different spore stages. Okay? And that's very usual. Sometimes they only have 4. So which one's going to attack my plant and which plant am I worried? Well, not too many people worry about these with cedar, but that's what's inside those little horns, teleal horns that are sticking out. And each one of these is a teleospore, and each one of these teleospores branches out, and then it forms little basidiospores. So what you're ending up with is another spore that can blow through the air. And a couple kind of clever things in it. Because this thing can produce while it's on the tree. Now you're getting rain, you're getting it. But typically these fall to the ground. And it's not until this time of year that they can then infect. So the new leaves are coming out. And these little extra spores of the cities. Now, you know what they are. Have you ever had a mushroom and you did a spore print or you saw that? Those are basidiospores. But that's the only spore mushroom uses. This one has a bunch more. So that this one has the one coming out, and now those can go through the air. Thing is, if you know they can only blow about a mile before they shrivel up and can't infect, what's your best bet? You start thinking control. Well, either get rid of all the gall of the cedar tree, or get rid of all your cedar trees, and then you stop the cycle. Because as soon as that blows through the air, guess where it goes? It's cedar apple rust. So now it shows up on all those apple varieties that you have. Now, there's some new varieties that don't get it. So a lot of your old varieties get it. And that's the issue, is if you have older varieties or if you have twins, and there's a quince rust that's very similar. So there are other things it can get on, but you're looking at the characteristic of this and how it develops.
Is it cedar, quince rust as well? That's
No, but there is something very similar, but this won't blow to there. It's a different species. This particular one, Junipera virginiana, which, and this is great, because, you know.
Jesus, but can somebody turn the presentation on to screen sharing for us on Zoom? It is.
Yep, we'll take care of it. Continue.
Pause. Here, push pause.
I should have automatically started.
Yeah, go get more.
What's it going? Quints and pairs. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, well, but, and quints, they're, well, the interesting thing about these rust diseases, that some don't have an alternate host, we call it the main host of the alternate. And what you call the alternate is what you got done. You know, so if you're trying to grow apples, the alternate host is cedar. Trying to grow cedars, the alternate is apple or pear or whatever. Most of the turn fast, although the growing that's very, so, you know, you don't worry about crab apples so much. But, and it doesn't, so that's it. What is it? What's the damage on an apple tree that you just forgot? And you can actually do it.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Are you good?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, the two hosts, and many of the rust diseases are that way, but there, as I was just saying, there's some rust diseases that only have one host. And then there's smuts, you've seen corn smut, you know, it's very closely related, but it only has one host. So now the key here, as a master gardener, or even, you know, if you're just gardening for yourself, and I guess you could be master for yourself, but the idea is, as you look at that and you're concerned about it, know the lifestyle. You can eliminate some of your problems. Now, what do they do in the commercial industry? They put a coating over the surface of the leaf of a chemical. And when they know these spores are blowing from cedar or wherever, then they want that coating to kill whatever's there. But there are also 7 or 8 other diseases that can get on an apple leaf. So they're coating this, hoping they get it. What do? You get a rain, it's gone. You got to spray again. So you're really trying to figure it out. So it's much better to eliminate. I was all about not spraying, even though at the University of Georgia, I was kind of the oddball because I was studying fungi in the plant pathology department. So I was always for finding out the cycle and getting rid of it before you had the problem instead of spraying to get rid of the problem. So it's interesting, but control's a big. There are lots of different things, and I was going to give you a little history lesson, but I want to go real long. But most of you know, how many of you have Irish descendants? Anybody remember? Yeah. Many of you probably ended up in this country because of the Irish potato famine. We used to take a trip, and she mentioned that in the talk. We used to take a trip to Ireland, and we would take anywhere from 12, 15, 16 students. And Carolyn, my late wife, would travel all over the country. So we go to Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland, and we travel everywhere. And we would hear the stories, and they're a lot different than what a lot of the books say. There was plenty of food in Ireland, but the food never got to the people that were working the field. They were not getting to the people that were doing all the labor. What was happening is what potatoes they could sell got shipped out to keep the estates going. And so people that were starving were the ones that were in a situation where they survived by gleaning from the fields. And they would go get what potatoes were at. Well, guess what got the most disease in the potato famine? The things that were still in the field, so that a fungus could attack. The reason I bring this one up is Phytophthora infestans is the very first time they were able to prove that a fungus, an organism, was causing the disease. Anton de Berry, often thought it was the father of plant pathology, came up with this. And before that, they were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, which many of us do anyway, and not really, we don't realize what's there even for ourselves. You're trying to heal, figure out what's there. And so he figured out cause and effect. And in the plant world, that was one of the first times they did it. Even in the human world, there were a lot of times back then they didn't know cause and effect. So what they found is that these little packets, sporangia, were producing swimming spores. And they thought, well, we can irrigate this place, and so they built these ditches to irrigate the potatoes. And every time it was produced, it just washed down there. Well, guess what? In 2 years, they had flooded rains. And then that's when the pathogen hit. And that was the problem. So there was everybody scrambling. There was famine, yes. It wasn't famine up in the big house in the hill. It was famine in the people that were there. And so it was pretty tragic. All right, so these are going to be small because I usually do it on bigger scale. But the potatoes were rotting in the field. The plants themselves were showing symptoms, but they were also seeing it up on the leaves. And so you're getting diseases that were there, and it's causing leaf problems. And then they started realizing it was rotting the potatoes. So you get a potato, you store it, and then it rots out. And that was a huge problem because they were unedible. And they smelled, and it was cheap to build. Now, you could get some, whatever you could get, to the house on the hill or ship over to England from Ireland or wherever, they needed and they could make money. My wife and I traveled, all over Ireland, and this is called a ghost ship, and you can't see it very well, but these structures, this is a memorial. Because this is the harbor where a lot of the ships loaded up and took off to come over to the US. And so they have this. It's right, if you've been to Ireland or know Ireland, Croagh, up there's a big mountain that is a religious experience and people, crawl all the way up to Croagh. This is at the base of that. And so this is a ship, and it was emblematic of that. So we always took our students by there. And I talked about that. And, in the books, you just hear everybody was dying of starvation. It was really not everybody. But that's the story that you see. And so these are skeletons. These are emaciated people built into this really moving experience. And so we always took the students by. What did they eat? What could they eat? Well, they're eating anything they can find. They thought, we'll just go fishing. They weren't allowed to fish because the fishing waters were controlled by the estate heads. So they couldn't even fish. So they're eating anything and everything, mostly seaweeds, pieces of things that if they could get stuff, they couldn't eat the fish, but maybe they could eat, some of the, scallops or things just to get some nutrition. But it was tough. They were burning turf because there wasn't much wood. A lot of the land had been cleared. So if you go to Ireland today, the peat bogs, we had our students, they would cut some peat, but they lived in green rust. The second disease that they found after, a considerable amount of time was a product of something that happened and that impacted us. I don't know if any of you drink wine. Couple of sneakers. But France, in the Bordeaux region of France, they had an outbreak of a problem, and the grapes were rotting, and they were not maturing fully, and that was a serious issue. Well, they had, the U.S. market was starting, and they were trying to put grapes in the U.S. And so a lot of the rootstocks were moved over to the US. People were growing them here. But pretty much a lot of this was wiped out as a product of that. They actually, years later, came over to the US and took vines back to replace the ones that died off. But
He just talked a lot about cedar apple rust.
Oh, good. You got a solution?
Mm.
No solution.
All right, so the idea is that in downy mildew of grape, what happened is they were seeing the spots, but the more important thing is they were not getting grapes developed. And so this was a serious problem. Well, they knew cause and effect. They could figure this plasmopara in particular was the disease, but they had to figure out a way to control it. And they tried all kinds of things, and they couldn't find stuff. Well, it turns out the kids in the area would cut through the grape vineyards, and when they cut to go to school, and where they cut through the grape vineyards to go to school, they would eat all the grapes. So that was their snack. And so they tried to fence them off. They still climb over. And so the kids were eating the grapes. These were still good grapes. So, so they were eating even what was left. So they said, we got to stop the kids from doing this. What can we do? So somebody said, wow, I got an idea. Let's take some copper sulfate. It won't hurt the kids. Once it washes in, it gives some more nutrients, and it as a copper is one of the micronutrients. We could mix it together with a little bit of lime. That won't hurt. That'll give us a little pH change. They mixed it all up and they sprayed all along this path. And when they sprayed along the path, kids went, oh, no, and so they did. That was the only way they could go through, I guess. Oh, that's the story. It makes a good story. But, I don't go around and go to the other ones. But the idea is you go through and you come through, it turned out serendipitous. You know what serendipitous means? Accidental discoveries. And so what they found is those were the vines that didn't have the disease. So there we ended up with Bordeaux mixture. And that was one of the first pesticides, not insecticides, but plant pests. It's product. So that was the idea. And so we keep finding history as we go. Dutch elm disease is still a problem. Going through and figuring out the characteristics of that. Drilling holes, Jay Stouts years ago at Virginia Tech, used to inject all this stuff to try to save huge elm trees, and you could do it. Because Dutch elm disease coming from an insect carrier is in the vascular system, the plumbing system of the plant. And if you can inject it there, then it moves up and down and kills off the fungus. And so you can actually control it by doing that. But that's a lot of work for a tree. So if you've got this beautiful tree you really love, you're going to do that, but you can't control it all. So they've worked on resistant varieties, they've shifted, but you had a lot of cities that planted elms everywhere. And so that was a big problem. But that's another, and it was found in Holland, and that's how it got its name. Not all of them are like that, but that was an issue. Chestnut blight, another biggie, still a problem. Walk on the Appalachian Trail, walk around this area, you'll still see shoots coming up from the old stumps. They get about that big around and the fungus attacks them. So you can't really, so what did they do? They didn't give up, they cut all the chestnut trees down thinking, they're gonna die anyway. So now we got chestnut rails everywhere, and those are finally starting to decompose some. Because that was a great wood. And chestnut, a lot of you know how resistant it is. So they went in and pretty soon this thing spreading all over the eastern seaboard. And so it was a problem. This is a canker from it. So what have they done in recent years? They figured out Chinese chestnuts don't get it. They found out that one gene, 1/15, 1/15 of the 16 genes, just one, could control the disease. And now they're fibrous, and they have chestnuts that will survive. And why do you care? I just grow a Japanese. Have you ever grown one? It's like this. It's like a bush. If you really want one that's going to give you decent wood, then you need to do, have all the other 15 out of the 16 characteristics that are good and just find that one gene to resist. And that's what they did. And so we're starting to see that come in, but again, it's fungal. And so that was the idea. Another big one that's come through our area, is it quite as bad here as it is in Georgia and some of the other areas, is discula. Discula is a fungus that causes death. That's the spore, little tiny spore. And it's caused some serious problems of dogwood death, and you lose whole branches. It seems like it's more in areas that things are stressed. For me, living out in the country, out by Pohlad Lake and Drake County, and we're not very stressed, so our dog was too great. Up here, Roanoke, you know, put a little stress to them, put them in a situation. And again, we're back to that same story. Find the ideal conditions for your plant and the least ideal conditions for whatever's causing the disease or insect crop or whatever. So that's the key to being a good gardener is knowing your plant and knowing what grows best in your area, what light it likes, what types of things that are there. And so again, now diagnosing these things for you all, if somebody calls you up and says, hey, can you come over, and check out my plants, sometimes you can do it by symptoms, but you can't often find a microscope because you got to coax the fungus out or the bacterium or the nematode, or we'll talk a little bit about them. You got to coax it out. So what you can do is try to this with healthy tissue where the fungus is actively growing, not where it's just dead. You can put it in the middle of an autoclave, you can grow it up, and then say, that's it. The spore looks right. Now I know what I have. So you send it up to town to the disease clinic anyone? Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't think of that. I hope they're right. But valuable because you can send it up there and that's what they'll do. And they can check and figure out exactly what you have and determine whether it is dogwood anthracnose. Now, what do you do about it? You plant a beech tree. I know you find something that's not susceptible, or you fertilize really well, keep it well watered, and don't stress your dogwood. And usually that's not a problem. All right, so I'll get a little technical here, which I'm sure you've all been through the class. You had to study this, you had to take the little test, you had to go through. I built this so people could pass the test and know stuff, and then gave them a PowerPoint review. But you had a book, you have all the stuff, and a lot of it's online now. But back in my day, it was all physical, big book you carried around. Some of you guys probably did it that way. But the definition of disease, now this is the problem. Because you got a lot of things that can cause problems. And when I was in the plant path department at Georgia, we didn't deal with insects problems. But you got to determine whether it's insect or not. That was the entomology part. So we let that, Eric Day and all them up tech, they take it home, send it over to the insect group. But you have to figure out the definition of what's there. Well, this is going to be fun. Something weird going. It's not all just a dead leaf. It might be a distorted fruit. It might be a stunted plant. It might be rot on the side of the trunk. It might be rot. So you got all these abnormal things. That's a key. It has to hurt the host. Oh, we're not going to go around cutting all the cedar galls out. If the cedar care, it very seldom going to get enough. I'm worried about the apple. So you got to make sure it's a big enough problem. And it's also got to have some effect. Now, physiologically, if it's doing this big thing with a big leaf spot, then that could be a problem because it's not going to make enough food for it to produce. So that could be a problem. But you got to really think about, is it chemical? Is it stunting it because of chemical? What's the characteristic? It's got to be continuous. That rabbit or that thing that's chewing on something, that's not a disease in our book. It's a real problem. You know how to get rid of that. Just don't plant your plants or put something around for the rabbit. But if it's an insect, then you got to do. The term spodic abiotic, do y'all remember what that means? Oh, she's long. All right, we're taking your license away. So. Biotic means a living organism attacking. Abiotic means an air pollutant, something chemical in the soil, things that are non-living. All right, both of those can be serious disease problems. You also need to know your host. I taught plant pathology at Fairham College for years. And the hardest thing was to get the students, they bring in these little twigs. I said, well, what is it? Well, they didn't know what the host was. I said, well, how's that going? Well, I'm just going to isolate. Yeah, but you need to know the host. Because if you go to the host index, you can look up the host, find the whole list of potential things that are there and get a head start. And they didn't get that. You've got to know the host. Somebody bringing you a bunch of little leaves and saying, hey, you're a master gardener. What's this? That's hard. So you got to know the host. The host is important because it's what you're going to get. And then it has to result in some problem. If you love flowers, it could be aesthetic. It could just be the flowers don't look, unless it happens to be a virus tulip. And then you get tulip breaking and you get this beautiful streaking and that's all right. Who cares? Because the tulip's still there. You look, but it has to be a loss of some sort. In the industry, it's economic for sure. All right, so this is a simple little chart, right? And you're looking at it in a different way. You've got all these living things that can cause problems. And then you've got all the non-living things. Look, heat and frost. What's the temperature? 61. It's supposed to be potential frost in some areas tonight. Guess what's already being put out? I got people that have already put vegetable in their garden. My major professor at the University of Georgia is E.S. Luttrell. He took every diseased thing home and put it in his garden. He got all the soil, carried it home, everything he could. Why would you say, why would he do that? Because then he had this wealth of stuff to show us in class, So he didn't care. And most of the time, he just planted stuff that was resistant. So everybody else faded away, but he was like the master pathologist and he knew, and he didn't worry about that. But, mechanical injury, that's a huge one. Look at, who mows your lawn if you don't? Look at some of these people mowing, they get too close and they put a big straw on the side of a bush, and now all of a sudden you've got a portal entry. Those are things you start thinking about. Where did it start? We're in a drought. We've been in a drought. What's the stress level there? How deep are your root systems? You take, a dogwood with fairly shallow root systems, something with deep tap roots, it's going to be different. And you've got to know your area. Poor drainage rocks, they're even more critical because you're providing the ideal situation for something. Well, probably more people than not think you buy a house plant or buy something and you can sit there for 20 years. They don't think about nutrition, they don't think about fertilizer, they don't think about the characteristics. So the potential of knowing that, but then, I don't know if I have that chart in here or not, but there's a chart that shows you where the nutrients are released at what pH best. So, if you're at certain pHs for certain plants, the nutrients aren't even released to allow the plant to absorb it. They're bad. And so there are some cases where, so what's the ideal pH for your plant? Not just because the plant roots need it, because they're not taking up the things because the soil is wrong. All right, mechanical injury, oh my gosh. I don't know how many of you live near railroad tracks or whatever, but they love to go through and spray rain, whatever. It can drift miles. And you can have damage on plants and not even know what it is. And it turns out it was when they went through spraying the railroad area, that it drifted that day, happened to be your direction. Whole fields down in Georgia and areas were wiped out because of that. And we don't even talk about air pollution much around here. It doesn't seem to be a big deal, but there are a lot of places where ozone damage, hydrogen sulfide, not hydrogen sulfide, but sulfates, you get damage. All right, so I get carried away. Just say shut up out here. So the idea, if you look at this stuff and you look at the characteristic, where on the plant, what are you looking at, and what are the common things that can cause problems? And I just want to show you a few pictures of some of these things. But whether it's the roots, stems, or you're waiting for the fruit to come out, or to flower, everything has potential to have a problem. And if you take one set, look at one plant set, and remember it has a wall. A fungal mycelium, that's the little filaments for the fungus that grow. Okay, it's like the root system, the fungus, if you don't remember. And so that, okay, is about that large. The head of one of the nematodes with its little stylet, and often it doesn't even stick its whole head in, it sits here and injects and then sucks all the juice out of it. So the idea here is that's about the size. That's a viroid or viruses, pretty tiny. Bacteria, not too much bigger. We know that. We're always washing, trying to get rid of them. I don't know if they're really there or not. And there's the nucleus. So you get an idea of size to give you an idea. So real quickly, the idea of fungi, giving them a way to grow. Some of them will grow great, on your fruit in your refrigerator. Open your crisper one day and you look in there and you've got this great decomposing, either a penicillium or an aspergillus or a cladosporium, one of those great fungi, and there's spores all over. You buy a bag of oranges at the store, you take them home. Most of them are okay, but all of a sudden you look in and they look bluish green or green. Okay, that's penicillium. It's a cool fungus. It's where we got penicillin from. So it's not a bad fungus. I wanted on my own. So the idea is know what's there as you look at it. And so there's over 8,000 species of fungi. So that and there are fungi we don't even know about yet. So that's a big problem. They like these filaments, they call them hyphae, and they have all kinds of spores. So they're producing different spores to grow, and they persist. So you cut your branches to get rid of the dead, and you take those branches and you throw them in the side yard, and then you forget about it. And now the fungus is still around. Or it breaks off, lays on the ground. I mean, master garden. You clean every leaf,
Yeah, all right.
every twig up off the ground. Sure, that's not a problem, but as you're advising those that you talk to, the idea is these things are persisting in plant tissue. And you say, oh, that branch is dead. The branch is dead. The fungus is living on the cellulose. It's living on first whatever sugars, then the cellulose, then the lignin that's holding it together. Do you know why you get that liquid in the bottom of the crisper of your refrigerator? Because if you look at the cell of a plant, the area in between is glued together. Okay, and that glue is what the fungus goes after first. And so the cells break up. So what you're seeing is a whole bunch of cells no longer looking like the fruit, but the cells are still. And so when you start, the middle of lamella is that glue. So you got a lot of different things that work with that. All right, quickly, the symptoms are broad. And so if you're trying to talk to somebody, knowing kind of what the symptoms are is a really good thing. We can do leaf spots. But if you're talking about a blight, that's more leaves and more things that are dying off, okay? And so you have that characteristic. We can pretty much do lots. I think everybody can figure that. Reach in to grab something and it's mushy, it's pretty good, you can do that. Cankers, these are areas of sunken areas or on trunk, and it can even be on a small plant. Well, you can look with a hammer and you can see if there's any kind of structure to it, it's not just because it got old, it may be that you have a problem. Wilts are a big thing, there are a lot of what we call vascular wilts that actually the fungus grows so much it blocks the flow of water up through that xylem layer. Okay, the xylem is the water transport. And if it blocks it too much, then you don't end up with enough water and you get a wilt. And you may not even realize that. It may wilt a little quicker than it would without it. So if you see a wilt and you've been watering, you've been forgotten water, then think in terms of what's there. Big galls, you see big galls on the sides of trees. I got a buddy that turns bowls, is always looking for the big burls, to cut them off and make a bowl that has cute, really neat twisted. But a gall can be small, and it can be caused by an insect, but it can also be caused by fungus. The mildews are kind of unusual. Powdery mildews, which is one of the more common ones, They are what we call a parasite that has to have the host to survive. It is dependent upon the host. So, there are sooty molds. If you've ever had a lot of the black sooty mold on your plants from scale insects, they're superficial and they'll just rub off. But the mildews, they put a little peg down into the top cells of the epidermis and feed on that.
Mm.
But if you can stop them from getting established, then you don't have that. But they call them obligate parasites. They're obliged to be parasites, they can't survive. Some of the saprophytes that can be parasites are what you worry about, because they're the ones living in the compost pile or living in the leaf litter or wherever, and they can just survive and are happy. But put a plant in there, ooh, that's a living plant, and then it takes off with that. So you got a lot of different possibilities. Yeah, it's funny. This group I don't worry too much about, but you start showing all the disease stuff and everybody's going, oh, yeah, but this is very real stuff, you get things that show up, on pumpkins, and so you get spores of different kinds. You get fruiting structures that protect it to sit down in the soil for extended period. So knowing what what it costs, but knowing what it is and knowing that that's surviving means I gotta get that trash material to my neighbors. Not in my house. I mean, so you gotta get that trash somewhere. You gotta burn it. You gotta, and if you compost it deep enough, then it's not a problem. If you turn it under deep enough, guess what? There are soil fungi that love it if you turn them under. So it's like this world, just like our own bodies, that's out there ready to attack us. We just went through COVID. I mean, it's, you think about those things that are out there. Just be prepared and know the host and know the situation. Brown rotted peach. You can have beautiful peaches, and 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, or even when you carry them in, the fungus has been living inside. It got in the flower stage, and now they look like that. That's just knowing for sure. It's that you don't even know that because it can be a full mature peach. Leave that peach on your tree, it will shrivel up and it'll sit there. The fungus doesn't die. It lives in that hard peach that's on there. And then it drops to the ground, and the next spring there's your spores back up on your leaves again, or more importantly, in this case, on your flower, infecting internally and growing to the outside. That's huge. How many of you have seen a conch on the side of a tree? Yeah. If you see that, it's got heart. So if you see a conch like this, and there's a variety of different ones we have here. Not even more than likely, it has some kind of internal wound.
Huh.
And foresters know this. People that do any kind of arboriculture for homes, you watch for that. Oh, I'll just cut it off. I don't have a problem. But it's inside. It's already growing throughout the internal portion, rotting that center that was the old vascular system, the old plumbing system. It's rotting there to out. The only part on a tree that is actually functioning is right under the bark and just outside the bark. You probably peeled bark away from a tree, right? I'm sure one of you did it unintentionally. When you hit it and it slips, that area right there is the active cell division zone. And if the bark comes off, this is where all the sugar transport is under the bark. And if you go into the outer layer of the wood, that's where the active water transport. This is xylem on the inside, phloem on the outside, and then you've got this vascular cambium. So we'll talk about this stuff. Vascular cambium, that's all that between those two, and it has to actively cell divide. What about all the wood that you got? None of that. That can store stuff. It can have water in it. It can have lignin, but all of that you burn in your fireplace, the majority of all that is not transport. It's not moving anything. It's all that little area right there. So now you've damaged the bark and cut it away. Now you've taken all the carbs that are built there, that are going to the root system. And so now if you girdle, you remember what the word girdle means? And so the idea of a girdle is that you're stopping that flow down. You stopped it if you girdle it completely. But if something's damaged part of it, that means the root system on this side is not getting it until it can redirect by having scar tissue and grow it. But you're still going to have a weakened side to your tree if somebody has taken a whole slab off the side of the tree. So those are things you start thinking about. But you've also opened it up. Now heart rot can happen even faster because now that nice bark that was protecting isn't there. Spores of the fungus are the big thing. This is just happens to be a mushroom, but these are what the spores look like. You can hit puffball seizures, you can hit other things, but a lot of people are definitely allergic to mold spores, but these are spreading through the air extremely light, extremely easy to reinfect if this happened to be a pattern. Bacteria, almost done. So I'm already over.
Yeah. You're already on, but
Well, we started 20 minutes late.
we did? Oh my gosh, okay.
Oh my gosh, so I got.
I kind of.
So the idea, yeah. Okay, so the idea is bacteria. Now bacteria are a whole other beast because bacteria can't burrow through things like fungi go through. But they're carried and they can be carried on your knives. If you do pruning, you can do it on your pruning shears. Viruses are the same way. So sterilize. A 10% Clorox solution is an ideal solution for sterilizing any tool that you use. And Clorox is easy to come. And 10% is not real strong based on, you buy the bleach and take the bleach. I say Clorox, I don't think you can buy whatever brand, right? But if you get that and make it 10%, that's great. Now let me move. If you have steel knives or steel tools, then you want to oil them down afterwards because it's also very close. What's a bit of a blow up? It's close, but so the idea, so we can actually go in and find the bacteria inside a plant by taking the liquid, put it into water, and then doing what we call a streak plug. So we streak across, we clean it, we streak here, we clean it, we streak here, we clean it, until we get one bacteria cell. And if there are multiple ones, then you can identify these, but you gotta do it almost chemically. So you take these bacteria and you put them into a culture plate, and that culture plate has certain nutrients, and you can tell by how it reacts in those nutrients what the bacteria is. And they do that for strength. It used to be you had to do the swab and you gagged and they did all this stuff, and still, but now they have these little things you punch it in and they can see it right away. That's the chemical look, and they're doing that disease. So, one cell is all it takes, this minute, and you can't see it. So you see in this mass. One thing to watch for you all, if you can remember anything from tonight, angular leaf spots. Bacteria can't breach the veins of something. So if you see a plant in somebody's garden and the leaves and the spots look like they're following the vein lines, you're more first look at bacteria because it's more likely that it's following along the vein line because the bacterium can't get across that. If it's a fungus, it'll be more rounded. It'll just grow from wherever that spore landed. So that's kind of a little trick that helps you a little bit. Angular leaf spots, blights are bacteria. Cankers. You get a big canker, a big sunken area off of those, and those are even sometimes what you see on watermelon and pumpkins, but you also can get and galls. I mean, all these are possible in all of the diseases. So you're not really home free if you find a canker distinguishing them, but you get that. The vascular wilts, some viruses, few fungi, but mostly bacteria. That's how the vascular system. That's a tomato. And, you know, it's cut and then pulled, and you get, those are all bacteria all lined up. That's, you know, Agrobacterium tumefaciens, see? That was used to originally study cancer. The way it developed on tomatoes and other plants, that forming that tumor, that gall, they used and looked at the enzymes and how it developed to do the early studies of cancer. So, you know, there are crossover mechanisms. And so those are well, viruses, that's a virus. You know, it's such a pretty tulip. But the only, this is called tulip, right? And what the virus does is it keeps it from producing the color. But in Holland, they made millions on tulip breaking because then they had the same variety with a different look, and it worked well. Now, they aren't selling. They only have, you know, a protein coating with RNA or DNA as the center, and they have to live on a living host. So the virus has to have living tissue. Okay. And now there are RNA viruses that we have problems with too, but that's all they are. I mean, it's just this like a weird, like taking your DNA and letting it live by itself. So, and that's what viruses do. And how do they function? They use the plant. And so all the mechanisms that the plant has, virus just plugs in and takes over. Sort of the ultimate, you know, horror. But it's happening at a microscopic level. But we found ways to stave them off in humans with some kind of vaccination. We've also learned in plants that there are ways to keep them from being spread. And in most cases, build a resistant variety that it doesn't even want to fight. So if you know what it is, and you know what its mechanism, hybridize till you get something that doesn't get it, and then you're okay. Well, the problem is you're here and you've hybridized, virus is coming right behind, and it's hybridizing, and that'll attack the new one. So then you got to do here and do another, and then the virus catches up again. So we spent our whole time trying to just stay ahead of diseases, much like a pandemic. We just never know. And we've had pandemics in plants a lot. You know, it's been a serious problem. Poor growth. The common term modeling or mosaic, I'll show you a picture, is where you get streaks of sort of yellow in the leaves or whatever. That's a mosaic or a model. But you can also get leaf curling. You may have seen this. How many have grown Nandina, the heavenly bamboo? Do you have that? Yeah. Go look at your bamboo, your heavenly bamboo. And when you see leaves, they're all strung out and look weird, that's virus. Matter of fact, the multiflora, not multiflora, the what's the new rose that everybody? The what? Yeah, knockout. Knockout roses get really bad. So then you get a virus that'll get in there, and you get these shoots that come up and look weird. That's viral too. So you know the knockout roses are great because they didn't seem to have much, and the world is catching up. So this is the kind of sprinkling or lead change, and this is a mosaic or model. Folks, I hate to tell you, there's tons of viruses out there. Nematodes, you know, it's got a little style right here, and it can put it in. Some get internal to the root system, some sit on the outside and just get whatever they need out of the phloem right out of the outer edge of the root. So all that's possible. They aren't segmented, they're small, most people wouldn't see them. I used to take them. Oh, how many of you use vinegar on your fish? Anybody like vinegar on their fish?
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, next time you go into a place that keeps vinegar on the table, look at it. If it's cloudy, it's probably got vinegar in it. And just to give you something to sleep on at night.
Is that called mother?
Yeah, the mother.
When you have a vinegar that's cloudy, is that mother? Is that?
Yeah, but this is one that only attacks plants.
Yeah.
But there is a vinegar eelworm that does grow. Yeah. Yes. So that's more numbers. All right, they're very slow. So if you have them in your garden, they're not gonna run over 2 rows over. Until you start your tiller. Or you transport any kind of soil and now you. And so now you've got to think in terms of, did I get rid of all that soil? Is that soil? Is there a potential? They have this hypodermic needle, that's how they feed. You know, they don't chew them.
You think about cycle of life, it's something,
I think about that a lot.
so, I mean, what are they here for? What?
Oh, what are they here for? Themselves, I would imagine. Right. Yeah, well, I don't know what would be a predator on them. Although I will tell you that the larval stage of this lives in the soil, breaks up the soil and actually helps. But when you get one of the larval stages that's also a parasite, in one of it has like 7 end stage larvae, and then it becomes this. So in those stages, it's helping. But see, here's the problem with that theory is that we have this tendency to create varieties that are new, that are susceptible to things because they don't have the same barriers. We want them to grow fast, we want them to grow big, they don't have the same protective barrier. And so now all of a sudden, they were there not causing any harm in the root soil system, doing fine, and then we provide them this juicy thing that is there. And so what are you going to choose? You're going to choose the nice desserts on that end or the fruit up at the other end, depending on personality, I guess. But that's what's happening. They're choosing things not because they were created only for that, but because that's the simplest choice. All right. So that's they feed constantly. They persist in the soil. See, these guys also have the ability to go into a anabiosis state where they can sit there and just survive for a long time. And then they come and start they have this change in chemicals because you planted a garden. All right, pore roots, root ball, too fast there. So that's lots of possibilities. Dig up a plant, pull your plant up. You may have knots on it, root knot gall. You know, the root knot nematode is a fairly common one on lots of different plants, can cause some serious problems. Not all of them do that. So don't get, there's no, but sometimes you pull it up and you have fewer roots. Sometimes that's because it was nematodes that reduced your production. You can have swollen root tips. There's the root knot. There's the ring nematode, and you can see it sticking into a cell. But this looks okay, but when you look at it close, it's got all these galls. Guess what? When the galls are there and it's feeding on the galls, you've lost the ability for having any kind of root hair and being able to absorb water and nutrients. So now you've reduced the ability of this nice root system to get all of the stuff. So the top becomes stressed. So that's then the fungi take care, or the bacteria take care. All right. I'm going to zip through this because but I will tell you this: signs and symptoms. You know, again, I told you this in the beginning. A symptom is what you're seeing as an expression of the disease. It's what smaller fruit.
Make sure there's no food trash around.
Can you mute your
All right.
speaker, please?
All right. So the idea signs are the organism causing the problem. The symptoms are what is showing up on the plant. So that's an important point. And so lots of different things.
Yeah.
We're probably the biggest problem, in many cases, because we don't, we wear boots and, track from one area of the garden to the other. We use clippers and clip one and then clip another. Or we, if you're thinking, and you guys do that, as gardeners, you're thinking about what you're doing. There are a lot of people out there that indiscriminately do stuff without even in sense, but without doing that. And so look in the books, get help. If you're diagnosing something, it's what they have the disease clinic. But there's lots of people who can help you figure that out. All right.
Got 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. I do almost. But we have a variety of different things. I'm just showing you some of the symptomatology. You know, this is interval. The term chlorosis is yellowing. And so that's a general term, you know, and then necrosis, you know, if you're doing something, necropsy is looking, you know, something's died. What we call it, necrosis. You know, here's your mosaic and model. You see that, see how that shows up, dark and light green, there are also boxes. Yeah, that's pretty, you probably want to. Of course, you're never getting soybeans, but that's a thing. You know, so you get color change from nutrients, you get a variety of things that happen, russeting, you know, some of this is chemical caused. Some of this can be caused by insects, and so you get some of those things. There are all kinds of circular, so you start looking at symptoms, descriptions of those are really good. Now, back in the day, we didn't have the internet and all that. But I mean, you can actually take and use Google Lens or one of those and actually, you know, get it to tell you what it thinks it is. You know, you can use your phone for this stuff. You know, don't shy away. This is the blight I was talking about. We get a lot of that in arborvitae and different things now. You know, the frost looking, but you know, all kinds of rock. We try this, and here's the anchor, gives you an idea. And then damping off, so when you're now everybody's starting all their seedlings and you want to put them out quick, but you know, damping off is a serious problem. Sometimes it's fungal, sometimes you just overwhelm or under light.
So that two slides back, that wasn't a poorly cut.
No, it probably was a branch.
Yeah.
You know, but that's a canker that formed, yeah. So you get that, you know, some of you may have seen this on,
Yeah.
and, you know, leaf spots, big thing, you know, looking for what's there. So lots of different things, take it up to the higher level. I don't know if many people around here have peach leaf coral, but you know, it's a very unusual fungus that causes it. There are lots of wilts, you know, epinasty, I love that word, epinasty, you know, but it's a curling up, you know, and that shows up in a lot of stuff. So anyway, we could, there's some, for my dissertation, I traveled all over Central and South America and the US collecting the fungi that grow on the surface of leaves called sooty moths. And I studied them taxonomically and found them in the citrus. I think got started as a guy I was working with, but I was in a citrus program doing this. So, you know, but this is not a problem. You can put a little oil spray on it and it just goes away. The problem is the insect on the underside, the scale that's dumping all the sugars, the honey. So, so we have a lot of things we'll control. You got to think of severity. I tried to teach my students, you know, the disease triangle, and you look at the characteristics of the different things that are there. So to get a disease, and this is why, and I can leave you with this, if it's a pathogen, okay, know that. Know if it's a host that could have that. And then know the environment that the environment that it's sitting in, you know, because you may be putting it in a place it can't survive. And so you got to, but yeah, let me go to the things. So yeah, I could go on. Somewhere we talk about diagnosing how you do that. So for the next 3 lectures, we'll give you start clean, go through that, you know, there's insects, which wasn't really on the list, but mites and all that, they're trying to get you to my hands. Oh, there's some of them.
My brain is on over.
I had to show you some flowers that weren't diseased. So, you know, I took these in back of campus, you know, I was leading students on a hike and the, you know, eastern tiger swallowtails were out. Unfortunately, they were on the invasive autohoms. You know, they were out and they just started to come out the pig lady slope. Just out. So, and the fiddleheads are starting to, and that's my late vice section. So We don't have to, all right. So
Thank you very much.
and I say questions, but you don't have any time, so I don't have any answers. So, thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
yep.
Um,
About 5-10 minutes, enough to grab brownies and stuff.
yeah, sure.
Sure.
So you're talking about the peat balls?
Yeah.
Kind of they're like, once we get rid of all of it, like that's it. There's no.
I mean, look at how many years it takes to build and decompose all that.
Yeah.
So, and there are things down in the peat bogs that were there years and never decomposed.
Oh, cool.
So they found people buried in peat bogs, they found large trees, things that just don't break down because the acidity and the lack of things to be able to grow in the peat is good. But they put a moratorium on harvesting in Ireland. So there are certain areas you can
I didn't know that.
harvest. And they've really tried to stop people burning it. It isn't very, very nice. The smell, I mean, well, it's just kind of harmful, but it's very excluded.
Cool. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate you
Yes, thank you very much.
To do what I enjoy doing.
because we appreciate you.
I'll donate it to our group down there.
Ah,
Wonderful. Yeah,
Okay.
you do what you want to do with it.
We have a new park we're building there called Fair Park. And we had to buy it from the county because they wouldn't let us, they wouldn't turn it into a park. So I'll donate that to that in.
That's a great cause.
Yeah.
wait, I'm injecting.
That's fine.
Okay. But
Did this, you call her Becky, right? Elizabeth,
yes, Elizabeth, that's her proper name.
is she here?
Yes,
Here she.
she was back there. Right here in the green side.
Okay.
There's his.
With the show and I'm seeing that room, so that. Yes, you see that? And repeat, I got set up. Yeah. Right, so I can see. That's what. So very. But anything, when you're in the reaction.
Shoot.
So you can get it out.
Yeah, I did. It's right here.
Thanks, ma'am.
Yeah.
My brain is overloaded. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, flashing back, I
yeah,
have to try to remember all this.
I had some like galls on my plum tree
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I cut them.
Dibotran morbosa, were they black?
No, they were brown, the same color as the limb.
But they came out and sort of,
Yeah, they surrounded
yeah,
the limb, yeah.
yeah,
So I
that's
cut it,
black knot of plum. And
yeah, and I cut that back and I put it in my trash and zipped it up because I didn't know what it was. And then I forgot about it. So hopefully it hasn't come back. Does it come back all the time?
yeah, I mean, did it look like that?
No, it looked more like that, but it wasn't black. It was,
Well, it doesn't always see, this is a little more brown. See that one?
yeah,
So it doesn't have to be black. when it's fully mature, the black you're seeing will have little dots. Those are the fruiting structure of the fungus. So
Oh,
what the fungus does when it comes out, it's pretty much the color of the thing. But as it gets older, it forms carbon coatings around each fruiting body. And so then each of those spots has spores and then they can spread.
looked like the limb itself. But it was, thick and knotty, so I just kind of lay
Yeah.
that here.
Yeah. It is systemic, so it would have been back. See that one? See how that's,
Yes.
so they'll look like that and then it will organic.
Does it keep coming back?
It's probably systemic within your tree. So and the rule of thumb is you cut back 13 to 15 inches beyond where you see. Yeah, so if you cut that, you may have gotten beyond it.
Oh.
So it may have started up there and then it was moving, but it just depends. If you just look up black knot, cherries and plums,
Oh, okay.
there, it'll give you directions,
Okay.
they're every organization.
Yeah.
Every state has its own disease,
That's true.
lab, which is cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Oh, hey, you're very. Mine, well, fortunately, I got out of teaching before I got to grad. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so all things very attention. That people. That way it. And COVID had an impact.
Yes.
Let's say.
No.
Students. But we're sitting in one of the factory, they choose meetings. One got up, the bathroom, and get up in the middle of the lecture. You're better, like I'm saying, because I just think like, so, and I would put on here and we'll just hear. All right. Oh, shoot. So I'm really big shame. I get I just. And we. We're like 21 clothes, 21 floor. First grade.
Okay, let's find that.
That's not the same. There, those. It's all. It's, and now I'm starting to get teams of the ten. Things and change. They come. See. Yeah, no, honestly. But that's, so it's just that. That's not. Well, I'd rather have that. All right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Yeah. I got. They're all out. Right. Yeah, we were. It's. I don't. And wait. Listen. My wife was on the PhD. That. Then. What? We. Well, I couldn't speak. Because there was this. The pathologist So, you know what, I'm finished. Was there, okay. Sounds, weeks, well, you know, a little bit close. Okay, right, one, if you heard of one. One, two, grass, always. All right.
Stuff in the city. And you a lot actually. Ah. That's. I think that, and so. So, love. Yes. Yeah. So, I, and. Okay, Brad, it's my, you're fine. Bye. Spot. And.
Okay. I can do it during the day, there's the 9th. And maybe the 10th. I don't know where I have to go yet. So I got, to answer things.
Thursday the 9th.
Thursday the 9th, I had it set at 6 o'clock.
No, good.
Okay. So you can do when now? Tomorrow and Friday?
No, tomorrow I have extension.
Okay.
And I'll yell at her. And I'm
Sorry.
about the airport. But, anyway, I'll yell at her. I'll call you. So.
Let's go, Virginia.
I know.
All
right, let's go. Yes.
So what days did you tell me?
The 9th or the 10th. Which is
I think-
Thursday or Friday.
Either one's fine for me.
Okay, I'll call you.
Okay.
All right, ready? Okay. All right, let me see if I can get this. All right, who's first? Jess is first.
Thanks for coming to our location. I hope it was okay for you to find, guys.
Good luck.
Good.
Let's go.
I think we have speakers for the rest of the year,
Good.
so that's great. As your BMGA rep, I am going to the state meeting. It's at Smith Mountain Lake this Saturday. If anybody wants to join me, they're welcome to.
Are we to print these off? We're not getting them here, right? Seems okay,
Do what?
No, we didn't hear you. No, I did not print out any.
Oh, she didn't
She didn't
print any. Did you
No.
email them?
Yes, they're all emailed.
It's in your email. So
Yeah. Doing that.
Well, I came in at midnight last night from the airport. So I was lucky to get this. Next month, you'll get your regular stuff. So I'm sorry. So, okay. Next is who the treasurer? Yeah, where is he?
Right,
Yay.
March we had, we collected 225, 30 in donations. We gave the 4-H program $1,500. We gave $100 to Virginia Master Gardeners Endowment Fund. We had 1026 in horticulture expenses. 50 in speaker honorariums, 15, 16 in stationery. So we netted out negative 14, 20, 86. So, now we're just down to 15,126 between the bank account and CD we have.
Cool.
And that's all going on. If you got anything that you want, you get paid, remember to fill out check express form, just send me the invoice. Well, send you a check. You gotta look in the hall. That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay, so Amy had to run, but is there any updates or corrections to the minutes for March? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, they're approved. Moving on, let's see. Next is Teresa. Do you have anything?
No, other than if you hear of someone that's part of our organization that's gone through something, please let me know. I've missed quite a few things in the past few months, and it's basically because I didn't know. And seeds have been relocated for the temporarily downstairs in the basement. When you go through, the doors go straight. Don't turn left like we have in the past to go to like court therapy and stuff. Go straight and look left, and you should see 2 or 3 rows full with the seeds.
Okay, good, thanks. So for the calendar, we found a sample where we can put a real pretty picture in the middle. And we can put on the outside tips, things that to do for that month, and then put when we prune stuff and plant stuff and harvest stuff on the actual calendar part. And we still need one other person, so far it's been fun. If you want to volunteer, just give me a call. Because we haven't gone any further than that. Now, we have 2 more master gardeners, the last of the interns. And that is Gina, I can't even pronounce it, Lothian Stanley, and David Wyatt is coming in. He is a transfer from, what's the county down by Virginia Tech? Anyway, he took classes around there and through the extension there, and then he's transferring here because he lives up here. So I don't know if he's here tonight or if he got on the calendar yet, because I've been gone. And anyway, hopefully we can get him on the next meeting. Then we have Vicky, who is a transfer from Richmond area.
Well,
Yeah, and she's not on the books yet, but we got her. And let's see. Oh, for the plant sale, I put a new activity on there that you can post all your hours for digging and separating, dividing, and all of that stuff, repotting and all of that. So all your house stuff that you've been working on for the plant sale, you can now log your hours. And it is plant sale general. So you can, that's where you can post them. Then Kathy Butler, where's Kathy Butler? She, oh man. Does anybody know about the prism thing? You know about the prism?
It's a new club they're trying to start. It's focused on removing invasives. We'll let you know when the next meeting is.
Yeah, because I know nothing about it and Kathy was the expert, so. Okay, oh, this is a new event. It's called the Alternative Expo event. It's like foraging. It's like how do you call it?
Living off the grid.
Yes, simple that living off the grid and what you got to do to be successful. And, anyway, I guess someone came and dropped off a brochure at the, home show, right? Yeah, and so he's wanting us to, have a talk like on composting, and then they would give us a free booth. So I was wondering if anybody wanted to speak, or should we have this event?
What is it?
It is, I think, the 30th of May. Yes, 30 and 31st
Where?
at the Berglund Center.
So be indoors.
Yeah. Nice, huh? Yeah. So any opinions, and should we put it up there?
That's Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, it is?
And that Memorial
Really?
It's the 24th, I think. It's early this year. It's early this year.
Oh, so it's after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's gonna be different.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it would be.
all right, so I'll post it and see how far we get. But we do have a deadline, don't we?
Yeah. Donna, would you like to be a speaker?
I have a fortune, but that might work with that really well.
Because we do have to have, it's just like the Home and Garden Show. We have to have a speaker to get our booth for free.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Next is, our Earth Day. Only one person has signed up, people,
Well, and who's the
huh?
who's the co-chair? Did you ever find that?
It wasn't you. I think it was Kathy, actually,
But
Butler. Yeah, just one other person. We need more than that. So, if you, it's on a weekend, right? Yeah, it's on a Saturday, so there shouldn't be any conflict with work, or, tape the kids up and bring them with you. But we need more people to volunteer for these, so,
well, maybe you can send out email or something.
Yeah.
Telling what's coming up, but just reminding rather than have to go.
yeah, I think I'll do that. Thank you.
Appropriate find things.
Yeah, I'll do that. Been, a huge problem occurred. And none of the people that were on the committee for school gardens could log in for a shift, nor could they post their hours, and it's still not fixed yet. It seems that it happened when Sean left, and after our Leslie's talk for youth gardening, all of that. He left before he had the chance to post everybody's training. So now it's a year later and things are changing, and you have to have your youth training done. So Aperva is working on two things, two ways to solve this before the end of this month. And that is, one, there is supposedly a recorded.
It hasn't been released yet. Tech has recorded a youth training, but it's not out there yet.
Yeah, it's not there yet, so she's working on it. And the other one is to have a Zoom meeting for all of those that work with kids, and before the end of the month. So it won't be in our regular meeting, so. Anyway,
So
It-
are you saying, do I understand you correctly? You said anyone that is working with youth has to go through youth training before they can do it?
yes. Yes. Supposedly, those things should have been marked a long time ago. I mean, like when we first moved to Better Impact, but it never was, so we never had a problem. But now we have a new regime, and they're making sure that things are checked properly. And so all of a sudden, no one could get in. So any activities that I have with the school gardens, I'm going to have to send out an email and track it manually for everybody, and until this is fixed. And in the meantime, everybody has to keep a record of where they went, their hours, and you know, what they did, so then we can post it after we have our training. So they're letting us do that. So. Then, did y'all read the email with the pest alert? The three of them?
No.
Yeah. I have to send you another one.
Pest alert.
Yeah, well, it's, there's three of them actually. I didn't put it down here. One is I think it's something about the boxwood again. And then another one is for an allium leaf miner. And then, do you remember what the other one was? No, I can't think of it. Anyway, so,
You spotted leaf hopper.
leaf miner. Yeah, what? Yeah,
It's the two.
yeah, I did. I sent it with the agenda. So, okay. Oh, yeah, the double spotted something.
Cut leaf hopper.
Yeah. So anyway, Donna wanted everybody to be aware that we don't have it yet. It's like the spotted lanternfly, when we didn't have it yet, it's coming. So,
I heard it's an attack.
well, the only one I know for sure is this, the allium leaf miner. That's anything onion. So,
What's that?
yeah, so,
Leaf hopper goes on plants. Goes at the plant set.
yeah, so.
Draw. Rotate plant.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Hey, Brian. The link time, upset.
I don't know, but you all at the help desk, you need a pay raise. So, after listening to that, I was like, God, those people ought to be on pedestals. So, did you get a copy of that? The, with the, I just got it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now we're down to the committees. So the community gardens, of which we have like one that's really active at the, or well, two, the Gilmer and the Carver Gardens. Um, uh, Danielle. What's her last name? Yeah, Hugo, yes. Nice, very nice lady. Anyway, she goes there religiously to, but it's owned by Leap, so we don't have any control over it. But she keeps us posted of when things are happening and all that sort of thing. So, whoops, let me get that up. Hello, come on. Why can't I get that up? Oh, come on. Let's see. File. Let's open. There we go. So she says my only update for the Carver and Gilmer Gardens are they're at the gardens every Saturday at 9. And we meet at the Gilmer typically, but if nobody's there, go over to the Carven, which is 2 blocks away. And people should just show up. And for those who want to help on the gardens on a different day, there are people working at various times throughout every week. And I can put them in touch with anyone to coordinate volunteering with, or they can come on a Saturday and talk to them then. So that's all she had to say. And more gardening things I'm working on is, with the Giving Garden in Salem. I finished a website for them, and so they're all agog with that. And it's working out really nice because we're going to be having our talks every month. The first two, Donna, are going to be me doing a presentation there in the garden. So how to dig stuff and how to deep to plant seeds and stuff like that. So, but that's only the first two. The rest of them, so. And then anyway, they're just kind of cleaning up the yard, the garden, and just waiting. So something comes up. They planted a little early, and I'm hoping we don't have a freeze. Huh? Kind of early. Oh my God. Okay. I kept telling them, no, wait till May, after Mother's Day. They just went ahead full bore. So for the school gardens, that's really going well. And then we got a whole bunch of stuff in at the office to go through, open up, spread out for the different gardens, for the school gardens. And then I have to deliver everything and explain how they work when I get there. But so the Round Hill one, oh my gosh, it was loads of fun. Wasn't it, Betty?
Yes.
Yeah, she was. She was outside with Teresa and Twana and who else?
I didn't come small.
Yes, and Laura. And anyway, I did a presentation. It was interactive with these kids, and it was a blast. There was a total of 90 kids.
Oh my God.
Yes, we had fun. Yeah, I'd ask a question and all these little hands would come up. It was so cute. And then after I was done with them, I shipped them out to Betty and she digging in the dirt and exercising but they were all talking the whole way in because I was talking to another teacher before I could get back out to see Betty. But they were all excited, so I guess we did something right, huh?
Yes.
Yes, all second graders.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. So, anyway, let's see. Okay, that I explained that. And the help desk, Irina said, we have started summer hours and have been very busy. We have good coverage for the month of April, all but 4 days are covered, and we have a great team. The popular question right now concerns crepe myrtle bark scale. A lot of people are finding it on their trees. One more thing, we are so happy to have a perva there. So that's what she gave me. And the plant sale, you should have everything divided by now and put in pots and watching them grow, watering them. And we need to report all this to Kyla because right now she only has what I have. And from Barbara Leach. But nothing else. If we don't have any more than what she's recorded, we can't have a plant sale. Because, I mean, she put the thing on Facebook, and how many did you say were?
There was over 100 people who said they were going to attend the Facebook event. There are 3,500 people who are interested in attending.
We need more plants. So get busy, get them done, get them potted, and get them ready. So, because if we.
Wants to dig, I can't dig anymore.
Does that extend to skiing?
Pardon? Yeah.
Good, that's good. I was like, no. So, yeah, just, I can't do it this week, but maybe next week I can come over and we can do it, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
who else?
I can sit on the ground once you've dug them and put them in the box.
That's fine. Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay, you reconnoiter with him. Kathy, just make an appointment with him. And, oh, did you work it out with Ellie about yours?
No, afterwards.
Okay, all right. And, well, other than the rah-rah speech, we need everybody to pitch in. Set up us on Friday like normal after the last person leaves. But we can deliver starting at, when did we start last time? 8 o'clock? Yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning. We don't have Claire here. Ugh.
Big stuff up into the room on Friday.
Yes, in the evening, yeah. But we can bring in everything into that little alcove. So, and then get it sorted and all set up and
We're in Claire. Claire.
yes, at the Brambleton Center. I was told that this is probably gonna be our last time that we can do it for free.
Oh.
It's clear, okay.
Yeah, I've been back there.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's like a week. I haven't heard from her.
I've just been for,
Yeah. Maybe I should give her a call. I'll do that. And, let's see. Oh, in fact, I didn't get any information from Claire about the Arboretum, but I did talk to Tanya and she said that the perennial sale went very well. So if you were there helping, she said, thank you. So, and that's all I have. Anybody else?
More items like speakers bureau. Back to the agenda.
Oh, I ran out. Okay, yes.
Speakers Bureau, we are getting requests to do lots of fun and different things. So we are having a meeting next Thursday at 6 o'clock at Unity. And we are gonna talk all about Speakers Bureau, and there are little commitments, there are big commitments. You can just be a helper. You can just come and watch and get continuing ed credits for talks that you come and listen to other places. So take advantage of that, and we'll get an email out to everybody to let everybody know that.
Yeah, and also the paperwork.
With thing for South News. She said several times, I don't know if she said it to anybody besides me, but she would be glad to talk at any place.
All right, I will get hold of her and make sure that she knows.
Yeah,
about
then
it.
it comes.
Yeah.
And we really do need assistance. Have you had a lot of people saying they would assist?
No, I haven't had a lot of people say much of anything, so that's why we're gonna have a meeting and get
Yeah.
the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Cause I put out a couple of emails to everybody on the team. And I'm not hearing back, so I don't know if that's because people don't really wanna be on the team.
Yeah,
Or they're just not thinking that we're up and running yet, but we definitely are.
and things are different. Yeah, the Speakers Bureau got their own separate Gmail account so that we can put all the approved presentations there, and it doesn't take up as much room. And for our other regular Gmail account. And that way, all the people on the committee can access any presentation that they need so that you can get on there and look and see what you want to do. It's accessed by all members of the committee. Not anybody else. You have to be a member. So.
Frankie, this is Sharon on Zoom. When did Donna say the Speakers Bureau meeting is?
It is on the
16th.
16th, yes,
Thursday, 6 o'clock. On the
at
16th.
Unity.
At Unity.
And will it also be on Zoom? Are we gonna record it?
Well, it's probably not a bad idea.
If somebody has that capability,
I
can
do. I do. So, and since I'm,
Gmail. Too many people were saying.
oh, the Gmail account, I sent that out to everybody already. but I'll send it out again. That's okay.
See correspondence, I don't know what.
Yeah,
I, the calendar, I don't know, email,
no, you haven't, not yet.
for Chinese.
No, we didn't. No, I just discussed it with Jessica and we looked at some things and I had to get on a plane. So, yeah, it just ran flat out of time. So I will regroup and make sure that you get what you need. Yes. Yeah, so yeah, I had this on the list on the uh dates to remember. But I didn't put the place. So it was at Donna's church. So anything else, Jess?
Farmers markets.
Uh-huh.
So again, we need leads for the farmers market. At this point, we don't have lead and we don't have people sign up for ship. Do we still want to do the farmers market? Ooh. Okay,
That's something maybe we need to talk about at the Speakers Bureau meeting.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because Donna is kind of directing that because she wants different themes to talk about at the farmers market.
at the, yeah,
So, huh?
the agent.
Donna Asimovic. Dana. Yeah, so she wants to do that. Yes, Cindy?
Jess and I, let's go, social committee, we talked about a lunch, restaurant, that kind of miracle. And I don't know if it's first there, I think, but the food at the restaurant used to be marked. So that I had this, they were doing about. That's remember?
That's
The next show, man, I don't know. Sure, yeah. Interesting. I'm making waiting version. Traveling first couple weeks of May, so, and just get something on the calendar. I'm gonna, everybody have, any of your own lunch kind of thing.
Of course.
Not a charge for wineries for that office, but, I got.
Cool. I like that. Yes. Okay, let's see. Do we have anybody from the horticulture therapy groups? Nope. What do you? What?
We are still the last, let's say, April, that did not see that. But
Oh, good, yeah.
there's someone out there and before their money. You can do this. You know, if you want to about what to do or what they're busy doing with patients, or email. Or
Yeah. All right. And then you're doing are you doing the sensory gardens?
So technically, yes, we are still waiting for the approval of actually. What we're supposed to be doing, the direction from people above us that they say yes,
Yeah.
we can, so
Yeah.
kind of just in limbo what we do.
Okay. Well, let us know when, you need some help for planting and stuff. Okay. And what did Teresa, what's happening with Our Lady of the Valley?
As far as I know, is Amy and Cheryl doing April
Oh, that's right.
and then Hagerson in May.
Right.
And I volunteered for June, July, and August, and then I think Cheryl volunteered also, but if
Yeah.
anyone would like to. Step up during summer or the fall, we're
Yeah.
still looking for, one or two leads each month.
Well, I'm gonna be there, so,
Yeah,
so,
that's all I know.
I missed the first part.
Already in family,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
So, I think the dates for April and May are already about.
Please.
It's the second Tuesday.
Yep.
And I'm sure whoever's taking the lead will send out.
Second Tuesday or, yeah, oh, yes, sorry. Okay, and then we already talked about, how about the hospitality?
Well, everybody, everybody's happy with the food and the stuff that we're having. Sorry, I'm late. I'm from 99, but I do.
Oh, 50 lashes.
But we have brought all the committee.
Yeah,
So if anybody is interested in joining,
yeah.
they're welcome here and we'll try to get up.
I'm better at eating.
This, I'm good. We're not really just, you work out, we got anything.
I always eat too much and I take seconds, so that's why most everything is empty. So. Okay, that takes care of that. And any more on the program events, Jess?
No, please help if you can.
Okay. And the VA hospital, David and I are going to be starting probably next Saturday. And I'll be putting that on Better Impact, so. And the Arboretum, that was it. Anything else from anybody?
Yeah, Frankie, it's Sharon again.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, I don't know whether Master Gardeners are participating in the Explore Park event, but regardless, there'll be other organizations there. That is this Saturday, the 11th, and there'll be activities and booths and walks and things for kids. But also what you might want to share with people there is that Route 11 Native Plant Nursery will be there selling native plants. And they have a really very, very interesting selection of plants they're bringing, ones that are not normally very available. So people may be interested in coming just for that. And that is Saturday, the 11th, between 10 and 3 o'clock.
I do not, yes, here we go. So hang on. Okay, this is the Explore Park. 3 and to 10.
From 10
Okay.
to 3 o'clock.
Oh, I got it backwards. 10 to 3 this Saturday. Okay. I'll try to get that out when I get home. Anything else? Okay. I think that's it. And the meeting is adjourned.
If anybody wants to help me, the 8-foot tables have.
Thank you, Frankie. Good job.
Oh, thank you. Amen. Yep. Well, I don't remember.
Yeah. If someone had, material from other gardener.